Hello, friends! Welcome to another episode of The Adventures of Abernathy Franklin. Last week, we indulged Frankie and gave some airtime to her good friend, the Grim Reaper. This week, we meet back up with Nikki, the Abernathy who needed a spa refresh after her stint at the Orion Hookah Bar with Natty and Frankie. Let's portal ourselves on in and see how Nikki's coming along. After my refresh at the Orion Spa with Natty, I decided to pop home and collect my thoughts a bit. Alien beings, societies without money, auto-replenishing drinks, and nachos made of beef that didn't come from a cow. I had a lot to sort through. Rosie the hookah-smoking android and her information on cosmic human flesh consumption, or general lack thereof, was particularly difficult to clear from my mind. As my audience may readily imagine, however, home life did quickly become quite boring in comparison to my recent extra-dimensional adventures. Despite my questions and trepidations, I found I was eager to explore a bit more of this wide universe and what other unique experiences might be available to me. I decided I would attempt to find Frankie and Natty again and see what sort of hijinks they might be getting up to. Not yet being well-versed in this interdimensional time-space hopping, I wasn't entirely sure how to go about focusing my will on finding my new friends, which was odd enough to think of, considering these new friends were just other versions of me. I closed my eyes and tried to imagine who I was trying to find. I thought of Frankie in all her tattooed glory. I thought of Natty and our trip to the Orion Spa. Though it wasn't my happiest thought, I thought of Bernie and her lake house, and all of the trouble the many versions of me had caused poor Bernie. When I opened my eyes, sure enough, a bright green glowing light floated a few feet in front of me. I stepped towards it, and it grew roughly human size. Well, that is to say, my human size, which is perhaps a bit smaller than the average human, but anyway. I assumed I must have worked out what it was I wanted, so I stepped through the portal. I found myself in the kitchen of a cozy, extremely tidy house, but with no other persons in sight. "And who might you be, then?" came a voice. Strangely, I somehow instantly knew, but was also instantly confused by how, but I was hearing this voice from inside my head. I'm Abernathy Franklin, Nikki, to other Abernathys," I said out loud. "Sorry, I'm new to this. Am I talking to the house?" Before I could get too caught up in wondering whether I was just talking to myself because I had finally actually gone insane, the voice responded. Again, inside my head. "The house has its own intercom system and AI software. It doesn't need telepathy." The voice sounded male, and a bit snooty, if I did say so myself. "Hasn't your dimension worked out telepathy yet?" Ugh, why do I ask? I don't even care. "Say, be a lamb and get me some fresh water, will you?" And at this request, I was mildly startled by a gentle pawing at my lower leg. I looked down to see a tiny, adorable, fluffy Pomeranian with long toasted marshmallow-colored hair and sweet but very demanding brown eyes. "Oh, aren't you just too cute!" I exclaimed and reached down to pet my new fur friend. But he backed away in slight annoyance. "Yes, I am rather dashing, I know," came the voice in my head again. "I will allow you to brush my pretty fur in a moment, but I would like some fresh water first, thank you. And I don't want this dish anymore. I want a new one." The pampered little ball of fluff walked over to a water bowl and a food dish at the end of the counter and sat next to it. He then proceeded to lick his paw and rub his face as if he were a cat. Okay, where are the clean water bowls at? I asked, again out loud. Partly, I was unsure of how this telepathy communication worked, and partly, I was concerned that if I tried to talk to the tiny dog in my head, I might somehow get our bits of dialogue tangled up and become rather more confused than I needed to be in a stranger's home. The tiny Pomeranian stopped his self-cleaning ritual, and I almost thought he rolled his eyes before looking up in my direction. "And how would you expect me to know that?" he said, again in a rather pompous tone. "Just open some of these doors in here and look for one. I'm partial to the ceramic type. The metal ones give the water a flavor I don't like." Wow, is this what all pets sound like? I thought to myself as I went about searching the cupboards. The voice in my head didn't respond, so either I hadn't quite got the hang of this telepathy, or the diminutive Napoleon didn't deem my question worthy of a reply. I located the dog dishes, selected one of the ceramic variety, filled it from the kitchen sink, and set it down next to the Pomeranian. He promptly sneezed in clear dissatisfaction. "What am I, some kind of savage? I do not drink tap water. What's the matter with you?" The tiny fluffball sneezed again. "There's bottled purified water in the fridge, and look for some cheese while you're in there." I went to the fridge and found the bottled water. As I brought the dish back to the sink to empty it and refill it with the necessary stuff, I added, "I don't think I should give you cheese. I don't know if your owner lets you have people food." I set the replacement purified water down, and the Pomeranian stood up and before drinking replied, "Ugh, you're one of those versions of my human." At this, I perked up a bit. Perhaps I had gotten my portaling right and ended up in Natty or Franki's house. Well, based on the tidiness, I somehow imagined it wouldn't be Franki's house. She didn't strike me as the homemaker type. "So is Natty your owner? Your human, I mean? Is she home?" I asked the little furball, who had finished drinking and was now making his way onto the couch in the living room. Instead of answering my queries, however, he sat, rather haughtily, and said, "The brushes are in one of these baskets under the table. I don't like the green one. Use the rainbow-colored one." Ah, yes, I thought. I had forgotten he said he would allow me to brush his pretty fur after he had gotten fresh water. I sat down on the couch next to him and went about searching through said baskets under the coffee table. Once I fished out the preferred rainbow-colored brush, I began lightly brushing his fur. He was quite soft and very cute. I wondered for a moment if his personality was entirely his own or to some degree influenced by whichever Abernathy was his human. If the latter were the case, I wasn't sure I was in a home I wanted to be in. "So what's your name?" I asked as I brushed and petted the precious little dictator. He mused as he began to close his eyes in enjoyment of his salon treatment. "My human calls me Poof Bear, or Poofalumpa. I believe my proper name is Leo. Depending upon which other versions of my human you ask, I am also called Lee Major Floof, Poof the Arctic Fox, Fluffaluffagus the Brutal, and Leo his Royal Poofness." That's a lot of names to keep track of. I continued my side of the dialogue out loud. "Wait, do you know a lot of versions of your human? What's your human's name? Do you know a version of her called Franki?" Cute though this telepathic Pom may be, I was still eager to find the friendly versions of myself that I had originally set out to rejoin. This tiny Leo, Poof Bear, didn't seem interested in helping me solve my own personal riddles and responded, "I don't keep track of your names. Why would I bother myself with that? Get my right side a bit more." Obediently, I switched grooming sides to his right. "Franki has lots of tattoos all over. She's a bit more fit than I am," I said as I brushed. You all look the same to me except for my human, Leo stated, and then rolled over onto his back, exposing his belly. Clearly the next spot that needed some brushing attention. Frankie's always eating something, I said. And this time, the Pomeranian's eyes opened wide, and he looked at me. Oh, that one! I like her. She brings me that good, soft, organic goat cheese that I like. And he closed his eyes and laid back again, ready to resume his pampering. Have you seen Frankie lately? I asked, hoping we could start making some headway in the direction of what I was after, not just the attention little Leo the Poof Bear wanted. Ugh, you humans, Leo sighed. Always keeping track of what happened yesterday or the day before, what's going to happen tomorrow. You're so tedious. Under this one a bit. He lifted his left front leg, indicating where to move the brush to his liking once again. I don't know. I don't remember having the good goat cheese yesterday, so the Frankie one must not have been here yesterday. This wasn't getting me as far as I had hoped, so I changed my approach. Do you know what your own human is called by other versions of her? I was starting to wonder if I would have to search the fridge for some cheese after all, if for nothing else than a bargaining chip to get some straight answers. They call me G-Sam, came a new voice from very much outside my head, more in the direction of the kitchen. Oh! I jumped, startled by the sudden presence of a ponytailed, tattered t-shirt donning version of me. Hello, sorry, I don't mean to intrude. I was just trying to find... I'm sorry, they call you what? My momentary shock wearing off, I was sure I must have heard her wrong. G-Sam, Good Samaritan. I'm the Abernathy who goes around cleaning up after the other Abernathys when they make a mess in an alternate self's timeline. Just back from Bernie's lake house. Got her set up with a new ice house and truck. Seems one of the Abbeys went and sunk hers in the lake. Got it all hauled out soon enough that it was still good for scrap, though. How's my beautiful tiny Poof Bear? G-Sam said that last in a very gushy mom tone and made her way to the couch to scoop up her furry pride and joy for some proper snuggles and kisses. While G-Sam made her affectionate display with the Poof Bear, I took the opportunity to start my inquiries with my latest, hopefully more forthcoming interviewee. I was at Bernie's right after that sinking occurred, I said. I saw the letter that another Abbey wrote to her. Poor thing. Must have been having a rough time starting out. That's actually where I first met Frankie. I was trying to find Frankie when I ended up here. Do you know where she might be? G-Sam began slow dancing with her miniature furry friend to absolutely no music, but still replied, Which Frankie are you looking for? Frankie with the IE or Frankie with an I? Not being aware there were two versions of Abernathy Franklin traveling about the cosmos with the same moniker, I responded, Oh, I didn't know there was a Frankie with an IE out there. I've only met the tattooed eating machine Frankie. Ha! G-Sam burst out. Yeah, you can't really mistake the two of them once you meet them both. Of course, you can't really mistake any of the rest of us for Frankie with an I then, can you? She gave the Pomeranian one more smooch on his tiny fluffy face, and then set him on an armchair near the window, where he began his cat-like self-cleaning ritual again. G-Sam directed her attention at me to continue our friendly chat. Yeah, Frankie with an IE. She likes roaming about and teaching other Abernathys who haven't started their interdimensional travel about our innate ability. Can't be mad at her for that. She ends up putting quite a bit of business my way with the newcomers. Bernie's ice house and truck, case in point. G-Sam pulled the ponytail out of her hair and started massaging her scalp. Well, I'd love to meet this other Frankie with an IE sometime, I said. For now, I was trying to find the tattooed food frenzy Frankie and another version of us that goes by Natty. Unless there are two of those. Sam Abernathy untucked her tattered t-shirt from her jeans and reached under it to scratch her back. Don't know a natty version of us personally, so can't help you there. I gotta have a shower, and then I'm actually heading to meet up with Franny Lynn. Evidently, she had a wild night with some fourth-dimensional improv folks, and they ended up bumping into another Abernathy at a family reunion. Well, bunch of 12-foot-tall fairy beings trying to perform impromptu skits in front of some very cloistered human types. You can imagine the vibrational mess that turned into. There was quite a bit more to unpack in what Sam had just said than I was prepared to address at the moment, so I picked the easiest thread to follow up on. Sorry, I don't know a Franny Lynn version of us yet. She must also be a troublemaker of sorts? Once the word troublemaker had escaped my mouth, I felt some immediate pangs of regret. After all, I did meet both Frankie and Natty while entering the homes of other Abernathy Franklins unannounced and without permission. Then again, that was also how I ended up in Sam's home brushing her Pomeranian, so maybe the guilt wasn't as necessary as my instincts would like me to believe. Ha ha! Sam laughed again. Franny Lynn! I'm not sure troublemaker is the best word, but she gets up to her own fair share of no good. Don't get me wrong, she has the best of intentions, and she really is very sweet. Just a bit, well, you'll get what I mean when you meet her. I imagine Franny can find Frankie in no time, though. Make yourself at home. I'll shower up quick and we can head out. And with that, she sprang up the stairs and out of sight. Before I had time to go about making myself at home, however, Leo, the Poof Bear Pomeranian, had already left his post on the armchair and returned to his end of the couch. You may continue brushing, I heard him say in my head. But scratch really good just above my tail first. I have an itch. And so I awaited Sam's direction to this Franny Lynn version of us with a fluffy, adorable, and pompous Pomeranian positioning his haughty backside in the direction of my face. Hello again, friends. Thank you very kindly for listening this week. This episode is dedicated to my own precious baby Pomeranian, Leo. Sadly, our friend Death decided to collect Leo from me the day after St. Patty's. Less than a lucky week, I'd say. But I do believe Leo met up with my dad on the other side of the veil, and they conspired together to inspire me to write this episode. Dad and Leo, I imagine you're with Grandma and that you've all enjoyed listening in this week. Lucy Babe and I miss you all very much. And we would like to think that you're all happy, healthy, and whole wherever you sit now. Anyway, friends, thank you again for listening. All my links are in the description if you want to show your support, or even donate to the memory of the cutest, most lovable little furry Napoleon you could ever meet. Join me at patreon.com/AbernathyFranklin for the latest in my creative exploits. Abby is now available as an ebook on Amazon for those more inclined to reading. Looking at you, Grandma. And I do have more multiverse fun planned for ebook reading, so do go check it out. Until next time, as always, much love to you, my earthbound and cosmic friends. Wherever you are out there, I hope you're doing well.